Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Nafisa and Maria. I have so enjoyed preparing this workshop for you. So let's get started. I use pronouns she, her, and this is a mini workshop. A tip sheet is being provided, so note taking is optional. We are covering a lot of material, however, details will be provided. This introduction is 4 minutes. Please forward. Okay, please forward again. This is our learning plan for today. We see an image of two people in a library. First, we are going to start with the learning goals. Next, we will introduce 3 employability skills. Next, we will give you the options. We will give you a couple of options how to greet an employer. Next, we will discuss business intros. And then we will look at the concept I call flipping the script for people with disabilities. And next, we will explain the purpose and the stages of an informational interview. Finally, you will have opportunities to ask questions. Please forward. So for today, October 15th, we would like you to be able to explain the purpose and list the components of a business intro and identify one skill you have developed as a result of meeting the challenges of your disability. October 29th is for Humber students. We would like you, if you plan to come to the networking event, come prepared with your intro that you have rehearsed with the goal of introducing yourself to an employer. For Seneca students, you will have the opportunity to speak with employers at a later date. Please forward. Okay, so our learning goals for informational interviews, October 15th today, we would like you to be able to explain the purpose and describe the process or stages of an informational interview, and to identify at least one question that you would like to ask an employer. For Humber students on the 29th, that you would come prepared with 3 to 5 questions that you have rehearsed with the goal of conducting a 5-minute informational interview with an employer. Next up, please forward. The Transition to Work team is committed to helping you develop as career-ready citizens by the time you graduate. During your college experience, you will have many opportunities to develop employability skills. To clarify, these skills are different from the academic or technical skills that you are learning in your programs. Employability skills are transferable skills that will benefit you throughout your career and your life. Why are we emphasizing these skills is because employers have told us that they appreciate that graduates have the technical expertise. However, they are also looking for these employability skills. So today, you will have an opportunity to develop critical thinking. We see an image of a white canoe and paddle in a red circle. Communications, we see an image of a white howling coyote in a green circle. And professionalism, we see an image of a white eagle in a blue circle. I will be weaving an explanation of these skills into the webinar, and you can read the details when you upload this presentation. So Nathan, if you could please forward to slide 18. Okay, thank you. Greeting an employer. This section is 4 minutes. Is your greeting going to be casual? We see an image of 2 smiling people ready to give a high five. Please forward. Are, are you going to shake hands when you greet an employer? We see an image of 2 people wearing suits and face masks, giving the elbow bump, as was a common practice during the pandemic. Please forward. Next, we see an image of 2 hands just about ready to make contact through a handshake. In the post-pandemic world, there are a few considerations when deciding how you are going to initially greet an employer. Forward slide. The professional handshake, a fundamental aspect of our culture, has been changed by the pandemic. Folks are choosing not to shake hands for health, personal, or cultural reasons. However, good news, there are acceptable alternatives. It's important to note that your handshake is not indicative of your professional skills. Let's discuss this further. Forward slide. If you decide not to shake hands, please determine what response you are the most comfortable with before the event to avoid an awkward moment or to avoid feeling nervous. So, the National Association of Colleges and Employers offer a few suggestions. You can place your right hand over your heart and briefly explain your cultural view. You can hold both of your hands together and give an affirming nod. You can put your hand over your heart and smile while saying, "Such a pleasure to meet you." Or you can say something like the following with neutral body language: "Thank you, but I would prefer not to shake hands. I'm very excited to meet you, though." So, professionalism, that employability skill I highlighted, is defined as exhibiting behavior and actions that enhance your personal reputation. You can start to develop a solid reputation as an effective communicator by deciding the best approach when greeting an employer. Next, business intros. Please forward. This section is 7 minutes. The business and intro is a brief synopsis or summary, 30 to 60 seconds, 160 to 190 words, highlighting your education, career goals, interests, experience, and skills. It is the first step in the marketing process when looking for work placements, jobs, or mentors. Please forward. Here we are outlining 6 components of a business intro for a student. We are minimizing the theory and we're focusing on a concrete example. First component, introduce yourself. Good afternoon. My name is Janine Wood. Second, education. I'm completing my carpentry and renovation technician diploma at Humber. Component 3, career goal. I'm interested in a career in green carpentry in the residential housing sector. Please forward. Component 4, college experience. During college, I have been working with sustainable and locally sourced materials and using alternative green construction practices to complete my projects. Some of you may not have work experience, so this is your opportunity to highlight your accomplishments at college. Component 5, disability-related skill. I have developed advanced math skills in geometry, calculation, and precision measuring. Being competent in using sin, cosine, and tangent saves me a lot of time. So just a side note here, Janine has a learning disability. She has chosen not to disclose her disability. Instead, she has chosen to highlight her skills that she developed as the result of her disability. We'll talk about this later. Please forward. Component 6A and B, there are 2 options. 6A fosters more conversation that could lead to an informational interview. So it goes something like this. Could you please tell me more about how your company is incorporating sustainable construction practices? 6B closes the conversation. Thanks for speaking with me, but it also builds a bridge. You could say something like, I'm wondering if I could have your business card, and would you mind if I followed up for you? So 2 options. In summary, we have introduced 6 components to a business intro for students using a sample script. So let's look at the entire script. Please forward. So we have combined the previous sentences into one paragraph. This intro is 97 words. I'm not going to read it now, but you can just scan it while I make a few comments. So please note that you do not have to say this script all at once. You can break it up. The employer may want to ask a question after you've said a couple of sentences. So please be flexible. Once you have rehearsed your script, you will be able to use these sentences in many different contexts. Up next, the template. Please forward. So here's that practical tool that Nafisa was talking about. Again, this information is on your tip sheet. So here is a simple template, an effective template that you can use. You can revise it, or you can create your own. It includes the 6 components for your intro. By doing this exercise, you are developing important communication skills by creating a concise and informative business intro. Trust me, an employer will notice. Next up, let's discuss the concept of marketing a disability-related skill. Please forward. This section is 5 minutes. The skill of flipping the script or positioning your disability in a positive way requires the critical thinking skills of self-awareness and self-analysis. Another way of saying flipping the script could be shifting your mindset, reframing your experience, leveraging and transforming your challenges into competencies. I define a competency as a mastery of knowledge, skill, or behavior. I have extracted this concept from a TTW presentation in March 2024 by Tim Rose, Senior Accessibility Consultant at CIBC. The link to his story is included in the tip sheet. Tim gave a very honest, a very candid account of how he came up with the concept of a disability positive career journey. This concept is an evolution of how disability is perceived. Tim explains that a disability can be an asset or an advantage. One reason he discussed is that the person can develop practical, or I'll use the term I've introduced in the workshop here, employability skills as a result of managing the challenges of the disability. To summarize, Tim stated that disability positivity is not about ignoring the challenges, the frustrations of managing a disability. But what it does mean is that a disability can be more positive than negative. And that is an important perspective that could change your employment outlook, as it did for Tim. When he started to put his disability out there as a positive, his employment prospects drastically changed for the positive. Let's look at 2 concrete examples. Forward slide. Here you can use your critical thinking skills of self-awareness to answer the questions: what skills have I developed that can directly can directly attribute to my disability. Here is an example from Tim. You'll notice Tim is not disclosing his disability. He is objectively stating the facts. I quote, as a kid, when it was time for class projects, I could not be the one doing the physical work. I was always the one in the group projects that was nominated to be the speaker. Okay, here's where Tim flips the script. And because of that, I became a very comfortable, confident public speaker, unquote. Tim flipped the script. He positioned his disability as a positive. Next example, please, forward. Here you can use your critical thinking skills of self-analysis to answer these questions. What are my advantages that people might not think of as an advantage? How can I use them? How can I tap into them to accelerate my own career journey? Here's an example. I quote, in math class growing up, I could never write anything down. So I had to learn to do math in my head. You might think math is a weak example, but if you think about it, I work at a bank. So I'm dealing with numbers all the time, unquote. Tim flipped the script. In summary, let's be real. Having a disability is challenging, is frustrating at times. However, what skills have you developed to meet, to manage the challenge of those disabilities? These skills can make you stand out. So we have given you two concrete examples. A disability-related skill can be incorporated into your business intro. Next up, informational interviews. Please forward. We see an image of three people having a conversation sitting around a table. Next slide, please. This section is 8 minutes, and then is the Q&A. I know we're moving fast. So an informational interview is a semi-formal discussion with a professional or employer to find out specific information about a particular industry, company, role, student opportunities, and inclusive policies. It is one of the most effective strategies when clarifying your career goals, obtaining insider information, and meeting with employers while building your professional network. The effectiveness of an informational interview is because the pressure is off you. This is not a job interview. You are not asking for a job. You are asking for important career-related information. So it's a wonderful strategy that I hope you will use. Please forward. So let's look at the stages. So before, it's all about preparation, and that is how we really define professionalism, is preparation. Rehearse your business intro. Determine your focus and select the questions by categories and prepare a list. I'll speak about the categories in a moment. So during the conversation, this is your interview. Take the lead. You are in charge. Make a positive first impression. Dress to impress. Be prepared to speak about yourself and your career goals. I am not going into the dressing and grooming. However, over the next couple of weeks, my colleagues, they are going to be distributing some other tips and tricks to help you meet employers. Please forward. Get the career advice you came for. Ask questions with an open mind and ask the employer's contact information. After your interview, it's business courtesy to send a follow-up thank you email, because that time a person has spent their valuable time with you, and take time to reflect and to make notes. In summary, we have introduced the purpose and the stages of an informational interview. Next, let's look at the categories of your questions. Please forward. So, all of these questions are included on your tip sheet. You don't have to worry. I'm not reading them all now for time's sake, but I will read one example from each category. So you choose the categories based on your goal. First, you will have to ask yourself, how do I want to initiate this conversation? Do I want to speak about the industry, company, role? How about student opportunities? Do I want to ask a disability related or an inclusion type question? What is your goal? Okay, so conversation starters we see in that header. I'll read bullet 1. What is the most rewarding thing about working in your industry? This is a great question to start your conversation. Next category is industry. Bullet 2. What are the in-demand and future job openings? You'll notice here, we're not asking for a job. We're asking about the information about the person's or the company's, what availabilities do they have? Please forward. Next category is company. Do you want the conversation to be about a specific company? So bullet 3, what are the typical entry level job titles and functions? Next, role. So this is a specific job. Bullet 3, how would you describe a typical day on the job? Forward, please. The last two categories, students. Bullet 2, do you offer summer jobs, placements, or internships for students? And finally, an inclusion or disability related type question. Let's look at bullet 4. Do you have an accessibility policy? In summary, we have reviewed 6 categories of questions for you to choose from, depending on your goal. They're all on the tip sheet. Forward slide. Okay, to summarize this section of the workshop, and then it's Q&A. Determine your focus and rehearse. Keep the conversation friendly, brief, and with purpose. Engage with active listening skills to demonstrate interest. Be respectful of time. Remember, professionalism is about being prepared, and preparation builds confidence. And relax. This is not a job interview. Get the information that you want to move your career forward. So this ends the webinar. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope that some of this information will be valuable as you start to speak with employers. Over to you, Nafisa.
Thank you, Elaine. And I hope that you can see on the screen there's so many reactions. I'm gonna add my own right now. There's hearts, there's claps. Thank you for such an informative presentation. And one of the things that I said at the beginning, I absolutely love presentations where you have like a tool you can take away and use and practice. So thank you so much. Thank you so much to Elaine, our presenter for today, and who's an amazing part of our Humber team. We love having you on the team and know that you do a great, an amazing job at supporting our students. And thank you, of course, to everyone that, as I said earlier, gave up a little bit of their morning to be with us. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time. And shout out to the entire team. And of course, Nathan on the back end. We can never forget Nathan. He's always doing an amazing job for us.